So, let me just make sure you can see me. Hello guys, my name's Scott. I'm here in Dublin. I'm with Ross Stewart over there. He's a full-time instructor here at the HDKI headquarters. With me, we're going to just stretch for a couple of minutes. There's nobody live at the moment, so we will wait until we're live and people are watching, and then we're going to start. So, a couple of minutes, stretch, warm up, get ready, and we'll start. Okay. Ross, you ready? Everybody there? If you can give a thumbs up, say hello. We're going to start. No thumbs up, but let's presume you're ready. Okay, guys, feet together, hands by your side, and ready. So, we are going to do an hour of karate. Oh, lots of thumbs up. Thank you, thank you. We're going to do an hour of karate. I'm here. I have my glasses, so I can read your comments. Hello, Sophie from Germany. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I know that this medium, Facebook Live, is a little bit difficult, but if you want to ask questions, please type them and I will try to see them. I'll try to answer them. And if you agree or you understand, please give a thumbs up so I know that you're listening. Okay, let's start. So, from here, nice relaxed. Left leg forward, blocking down, Girambarai, Gakuzuki, ich, and come back. Right side, knee, and back. San, and back. Shi, and back. Go, and back. Rock, and back. Shich, and back. Hatch, and back. Go, and back. One more, jaw, and yummy, and relax. Okay, so today, guys, what I really wanted to talk about was the principles behind how we move. So we're all struggling, I guess, to teach in this new environment and with the restrictions that most of the world has. But I think it's really important that we don't lose track of what we're doing. Because, for example, a lot of people, are used to big open spaces and we can move and we have a big area to practice the general shapes of karate. Kata, kumite, Ido Kihon, moving up and down basics. And we're very much refrained from doing those kind of movements. So today I just want to focus on how to move, what karate is. It's about teaching us how to move. So we don't need fancy kind of long combinations. We don't need fancy long kata. All we need is physical movement and focusing on the nuance of those physical movements. So let's try one more time. Girambarai Gakuzuki. So from here, I want you to think about how you're breathing. How you're breathing when you make Girambarai, how you're making when you breathe when you do Gakuzuki. So, speed and power, one count, block, punch, and then back. Think about your breathing. Okay, yoi. Ich. Ni. San. Shi. Go. Look. Shich. Hatch. Come. Jaw. Ha. Yummy. Relax. Good. So, of course, it's very difficult to interact with people here. So let me just presume that when people do this exercise, a couple of ways that you'll probably be thinking how you breathe. Some people will be breathing in on the preparation, out on the execution, out on the execution. So it's this feeling of like this feeling. Of course, I'm verbalizing my breath so you can hear, but generally speaking, people breathe in when they prepare, out when they execute. Then this is a basic way that we learn karate. When we learn karate from the beginning, we learn to breathe in on the preparation. For example, stepping forward IQK, we learn to breathe in and then out on the execution. It's like a basic training method to teach people how to synchronize their breath with the technique. But it's very, very basic. So another way is people kind of, when they start to do Gidam-brai, they feel that this contraction of the chest is counterproductive to the breathing in. So maybe they'll breathe in, hold their breath, and out when they make the technique. I want you to think about it in a different way. First of all, let's just try this feeling of breathing in and how we contract our chest when we breathe out. So this feeling of opening your chest, diaphragm of course, and then closing your chest. This feeling, yeah? This is kind of fairly natural, and above all else, we want our karate to be natural. Okay, now I want you to try this feeling of breathing in and then out to fast. So this breathing in, then, and just hand up. So you're starting slowly, then rapidly increasing your breath as you initiate this preparation for Gidam-brai. This. I'm verbalizing my breath, but of course you wouldn't do that naturally, but I just want you to understand when I'm breathing in and when I'm breathing out. So I'm breathing in, then the out breath starts to relax my body. And then I rapidly increase the out breath to prime that Gidam-brai preparation. So this thing, yeah? Once you get that, apply it to the Gidam-brai. So this feeling of, so the whole block is one out breath. From the preparation to the execution, you're breathing out. This, and back. And back. Of course, without verbalizing it, this thing. Understand? Everybody good with that? Okay, hopefully you are. If you are, then just try 1 minute by yourself. Just try that breathing in and then breathing out before you start the technique, then rapidly increasing the out breath as you go through the preparation, then execution of the technique. Okay, just try 1 minute by yourself. Give it a go. If you have any questions, I can see the comments. I'm going to read the comments. Okay, good guys. So I think how we breathe is super important. Like we're thinking about our breath at the beginner level. We're in on the preparation, out on the execution. And this is a very basic way. And then we never truly upgrade how we breathe or how we think about how we breathe. Sometimes we arrive at it just naturally because that's what we're doing. We're training hard and we'll start to breathe naturally. But sometimes we have to think about it carefully to improve it. Next one I want you to think about is this pulse breath. So if I'm tensing my diaphragm, if I'm tensing my abdomen, my tanden, my hara, if we're tensing this, it forces air out. And then just by relaxing, it pulls air in. So by this tension of your abdomen forces air out, and then relaxation, it's just like a concertina. You're pushing down, pulling back, pushing down, pulling back. So let's try this. From here, just make chokuzuki. So I want you to punch 10 times. 10 times naturally, at this type of speed. So that sort of speed. Punch 10 times, go. Okay. Ross is finished, you must have finished. Okay, I want you to punch 10 more times. And I want you to think about when you breathe. When you breathe. Same sort of rhythm, this 1, 2, 3, 4. When are you breathing in? When are you breathing out? Okay, 10 times, go. Okay, so I think generally speaking, most people don't really think about when they're breathing in and when they're breathing out. Maybe you think that you're not breathing at all. Maybe you're thinking you're taking short, purposeful breaths. Okay, this time, no breath. So you breathe in, hold your nose, don't breathe, no breath out, no breath in, just 10 times, go. okay, you'll probably feel that is a totally different experience. So you probably feel out of breath after even punching 10 punches. So what we do naturally is this pulse breath. The very tension of your center, abdomen, inner thigh muscles, the shimmy, forces air out. And the more we force air out, the more we tense, the more comes out to the point where, we can ki with it. But then the immediate relaxation afterwards of your diaphragm, of your center, draws air back in. So as much as you push out, the same amount is drawn in. Push out, drawn in. And this is called a pulse breath. Like a lot of people in gymnastics, in athletics, do it. In wildlife, they do it all the time. Like a kangaroo, as they bounce, as they push down, air goes out. As they come up, air gets pulled back in. So they don't have to consciously think about breathing. It just happens with the physical movement or physical action of moving. Karate is the same. As we force this kime tension, air comes out. Relaxation, air comes back in. And we should use this in karate all the time. Understand? Everybody okay? Give me a thumbs up. Ross is okay. Hope you guys are okay. Okay, so let's apply this to Girambarai Gakuzuki. So from here, we're breathing in to start. Then out. Then rapidly out. Then this kime forces air out. A moment of relaxation in between draws air in, then out again. So this. So we are breathing in before we do anything. Starting to go out, then rapidly out, then this sense of complete connection on the kime, and then relaxation of our abdomen, and then driving in again. So we're in, out, a little bit in, out. So we have this pulse breath in between. Okay, try that, guys. Try that in your own time, maybe 1 minute. Try each side, but relax in, this, and then back. And then back. Of course, try not to verbalize it, don't make the sound, but try to have that feeling. Okay, 1 minute, guys, give it a go. If you have any questions, you can write them now. Simon Jolly Boyce, thank you for the kangaroo and the karate man emoji. Perfect. That's what I like to see. Good. Okay, Yame. So that's principle number one. Principle number one is that we want to breathe naturally and then try to understand how that natural breath is used to reinforce it. Because the last thing you want to do is stop your breath. You know, like you can imagine a sprinter and you can tell people commentating about sprinters, oh, he's tensed up. Normally they hold the breath. Or like a boxer when they're this feeling, or a sprinter. They're using this pulse breath to produce relaxed, flowing, dynamic movements. We want to do the exact same in karate. Okay, that's principle number one. Okay, let's go to principle number two. Okay, so from here, think about how your muscles are using, or you use your muscles when you do this. Normal Girambarai Gakuzuki. Okay, right leg, left leg first. Okay, yeah. Knee. San. Shi. Go. Look. Shich. Hutch. Ku. Do. Ta. Hi, Yame. Hi, relax. Good. So, what I find biggest problem is tension within the body. Now, as instructors, I'm sure there's lots of instructors watching, or I hope training. A lot of instructors, we always say, please relax, you must relax more. Then this is kind of a throwaway comment. We say, oh, please relax, but we don't actually really explain why, or how, more importantly. Also, students, they understand we don't mean relax. We don't mean relax and flopping. We don't be flopping about as we do our techniques. There's a level of tension within our body that just keeps our structure. So we have to understand how muscles work properly. So there are two muscle groups. So there's two muscles within a group. If I think about my bicep and my tricep, we have antagonist and protagonist muscles. So in order for me to kind of bend my arm, I use my bicep to pull my arm in. If I want to straighten my arm, I use my tricep to straighten it. Now, I can tense my tricep and tense my bicep at the same time. And depending on how much I do, I can still move my arm. And it feels really strong. So a lot of people, they want to produce karate that feels strong. And so what they end up doing is use antagonist and protagonist muscles together. Now, I can do this. I can hold my muscle and I think, oh yes, I feel strong. But what I really want to do is just use one muscle group at a time in order to produce speed. So it's the difference between like feeling like you're Arnold Schwarzenegger or feeling like you're Bruce Lee. Be Bruce Lee, don't be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Don't use antagonist and protagonist muscles at the same time. Use them in opposition. So for example, I'm pulling my arm up whilst relaxing everything else. And then I'm using my, like for example, my tricep here to straighten my arm whilst relaxing my bicep. So I have this bicep, tricep, not the same time. If I do the same time, for sure I can make the action, and if for sure it feels strong. But we want our techniques to, if anything, to feel effortless, to feel, I don't want to say weak. They want to feel like you're not putting effort into it at all. So if I use my bicep, just my bicep, or if I use my tricep, then I use them in conjunction to produce this fast snapping action with my technique. Not a strong, connected, with all the muscle groups working together. This is just taking a lot of energy and produces stiff karate. So next time your instructor says, don't be stiff, that meaning that you're using too many muscles. You should only be using the correct muscles. So let's try, guys, let's try. So, Girambarai Gakuzuki, but think, first with the Girambarai especially, bicep, tricep, and that goes for your whole body. Okay, try. Ich, ni, san, chi, go, look, chich, hatch, come, go. Okay, we're going to do one more drill. So we have to, like we can use our pec muscles, for example, and we can use our rhomboid muscles at the back, again, in opposition. So we want to use these as well. Not only our bicep, tricep, these and these, whole host of muscles, but we're just focusing on a specific few. So from here, everybody just hands out. Only your biceps, think twitch. So from here, twitch, and then back. Okay, twitch, and then back. Then guys, just try, maybe 10 times. You're not making big, kind of wafting movement, just as quick as possible. Like give yourself a hug, then relax. There's twitch and back, twitch and back, twitch and back. Okay, try, 1 minute. Give it a go and I'll look at comments. Okay, yummy. Then guys, I don't want to skip, but obviously there's a little bit of delay in broadcasting it and me getting it back to my laptop. So Florence Hans asked, do you inhale with the nose and out through the mouth? Is that right? Florence, thanks for the question. Yes and no. Like, I've been punched so many times in my nose, I can't really breathe from it. Now, there are breathing methods that, you breathe in from the nose and out through your mouth. And generally speaking, that is correct. Is it essential? No. Certainly for me, it's impossible in some cases because I just literally can't breathe through my nose. So generally speaking, there are certain yoga and meditation methods where you do breathe in from your nose and out through your mouth. There are also methods where you breathe in from your mouth and out through your nose. There's also methods where you go in and out from your mouth. So yes, have that sense of that relaxed. This in through your nose and then out through your mouth. Certainly out through your mouth gives you that level of relaxation that maybe you don't get so much from your nose. But it's not absolute. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, don't. What is more important though, I think, is that you don't breathe in, or whichever way, whilst you're trying to contract. Like if you're producing kind of a Girambarai or shito or any in to out block. From out to in, for example, sotuke or agyuke, then this is natural out to in. So you're, that's natural. Oizugi, that's natural. So don't be absolutist about it. Sometimes in the mouth, sometimes in from the nose, sometimes in to out, sometimes out to out. Play with it, give it a go. Okay, next one. I want to continue with just that protagonist to antagonist muscles. Okay, last time, guys, we're going to do 10 times. I want you to think about your breath, and I want you to think about relaxation of muscles that you don't need. So you're using your pecs, of course, you're using your bicep, of course, then you're using your rhomboids, and then you're using your triceps at the same time. Pec, bicep, tricep, rhomboids. So at the same time. Okay, try it 10 times. Let's give it a go by count. Left leg first. In, ni, san, shi, go, ruk, chich, hach, kyo, jo, tai. I relax. Again, guys, if you have any questions, please type them away. It might be a little bit of a time delay, but I'll try to check them, try to look. One other thing I'd say about breath whilst we're on it is that an awful lot of instructors insist on you must count and then do. Ich, step, ni, step. Then that was never really kind of seen as important in all my training. When I was in Japan, before Japan, never really kind of seen as anything that should be highlighted. And I would argue that if you're counting, then you should count as you start. Counting, for sure, you are breathing out. You're speaking, you're breathing out. So, especially when it comes into out, for example. If you're doing Satsuke, ich. But if you're doing kind of Giranbrai, ich feeling, ich block. Out to in techniques, ich. That's different. But don't feel the need to always consistently have to count and then do. Sometimes the count is the do. And so kind of play about with that a little bit more, yeah? Okay, so first technique, first principle, how to breathe. Second principle, how to use your muscles correctly, protagonist, antagonist. Next I want to talk about kind of your hip and hand timing. So let's just go from here. Zextach and hand out. Okay, let's make a gakuzuki. Okay, nice and relaxed. Gakuzuki, punch, and then snap back. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, change. 10 more. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hi, Ahmed. So, what I found a lot, especially within Shotokan, because we do so much of punching thin air, you know? Like I often say, one of the strengths of Shotokan Karate is the amount of basics that we do, the amount of Kihon we do, but one of the weaknesses of Shotokan Karate is the amount of karate basics that we do, the amount of Kihon we do. So punching thin air gives no feedback in your timing of your technique. So we can think, for example, that if I punch from here and I go, that this is a strong technique. But if I slowed that down, what I can see a lot of people do is they have completely stopped the body mass movement. And it's just the hand that is the last half, if not 2/3 of the movement. And so there's no mass behind it. So it's really important to understand what we are trying to do, how to create power. There's one simple way to create power, and that is to get mass and to move it at speed. It's basic energy, yeah? Equals mc squared. Like kinetic energy is the same. We're getting our body mass and we're moving it at speed to a target. Nothing else matters in terms of creating basic karate power. Now we can argue that there's different ways to kind of, other ways, kind of more kind of esoteric ways, but It only starts with getting your mass and moving at speed to a target, whether that be a punch, a kick, a strike, even a block. So I want you to think about this if Ross Sensei's kind of like become target. Like, I can simply move my hip fast and then hand afterwards, and it's going to have very little effect. 1, 2. Now for sure I can shoulder it. You know, like I train a lot, you know, like I can make something feel strong enough just by my shoulder. But karate is about fulfilling your potential, and each individual unique potential is different. Like I kind of train a lot, so just using my shoulder, sure, I can make some power. But can I fulfill my potential? Absolutely not. Can a small child, can a slightly framed man, woman create power that way? Absolutely not. They have to use all their mass, all their potential mass behind this. So even if I'm moving slowly, and I have my body mass behind that, then it's going to go in. This feeling. I don't have to move fast, I just have to move, I have to time it well. Leg, hip, hand, all the same time. Also, another important point is that, let me just tilt the camera slightly so you can make sure you can see everything. Another important point is that the drive of this leg and the pushing of my hip and the pushing of my arm should be synchronized. I should try to have a sense that the drive of that leg and the drive of that arm is same time. If it's not the same time, if it misfires, you're not getting your potential mass into target. This is, on a very basic level, the most important element of making power within karate. I hope you understand. Ross says he understands. That's a good thing. Okay, so I want you to think about this a little bit. I want you to think about how we're creating power. For sure, let me just tilt that camera slightly. For sure, when we step forward for Gidan Brai, we are not stepping back. You know, we're not stepping back into Hamni. We're not allowing our weight to go forward and going back. We are driving forward into Hamni. So that means that this leg is driving forward at the same time as this arm is finishing, at the same time as I'm rotating my hip to get that timing right. But I haven't given over everything on this back leg. I still have power here, boom, to drive forward again. So I'm having my body mass move forward. And it's by shifting my body mass, even by the smallest of degrees, in an explosive manner, that creates power. So, like, the principle number 3 I want to talk about is this hip-hand timing to create explosive power. So let's try. Let's just do 10. Let's be mindful of that, yeah? So, this leg, this hand are connected. Drive to create Gidan Brai. Then this leg and this hand are connected to drive to produce Gakazuki. And come back. So now, right hand, left leg. Or it's maybe reversed in Facebook Live. This hand, this leg, we're connecting them together to produce Gidan Brai. Then this leg and this hand connect together to produce Gakazuki. Then back. Okay, guys, think about that. 1 minute. I think there's questions come through, so I'm going to check the question. But give it a go. 1 minute, just Gidan Brai Gakazuki, synchronizing your hand and legs together. Go. Okay, good, Yame. Okay, just kind of going back to the questions, Gary Stewart has said, just regarding the count. If you are counting, you are leading the class helpful if you all move together. Yeah, sure, that's true. It's helpful if you're all moving together, but within a class environment, there's maybe going to be some high-ranking black belts and low-grade white belts. Probably you're not all going to be moving together because you're going to move at different paces. So for sure, like there is this idea of counting together and having that regimented, strict regime of training, like lining up straight, like standing to attention. This comes from kind of like old militaristic aspects of Japanese culture, when they were trying to discipline like young kids as they brought karate into high school environments. Okay, that's true, and I get it, and I completely agree with you. I'm more concerned in this sense that I'm talking about in how you are using your breath to produce fluid, relaxed, natural movement. And for sure, if you're constantly inhibiting your movement by breathing it the wrong way, then it kind of becomes ingrained. And the last thing you want to do is do this before you move. I had a very good friend who was a competitor, a great competitor, and he used to watch the V of someone's dogi when they were in competition. And he said that every time they kind of, like the dogi would be kind of opening, that means the breathing in to attack. He would, pom, Kazamazuki. He had a really great Kazamazuki. He used to win competitions all the time. Like it's a you know, a bit of an anecdote, but what I'm trying to say is that these kind of ingrained, doctrinated ways of counting and therefore breathing will affect everything you do. So you have to really examine what you're doing much more. And sometimes, for sure, you want the whole class to move in unison. Okay, ich, and then go. But sometimes you want to be natural as well. And that has to be a part of your training in regular kind of classes. Okay, so we've done hip hand timing. Okay, we've done protagonist, antagonist muscles, and we've done breathing. Okay, let's move on. Let's do, okay, principle number 4. Principle number 4 is dialing in your stance. Let me just lower this slightly, if I can, and tilt it a little bit more so you can see my stance completely. So, hopefully that is perfect. Okay, good. So you can see my stance, guys. Now, I've got super ankle flexibility in my, especially with my right ankle, and a little bit less in my left, but even so, I can make a Zenko and have my back foot pointing to target from you know, right leg forward Zenko to left leg forward Zenko without my foot moving. Not so much with this ankle. This ankle will move a little bit if I go from left leg forward Zenko to right leg forward Zenko. It moves slightly, but not so much. I have great ankle flexibility. This is nothing that I've trained for. It's just pure luck. Okay, a lot of people don't have this. A lot of people, you know, as much as you try, back foot is sticking out. Now, if that back foot is pointing, say, 45 degrees, and let's say most people in the world can get pointing 45 degrees with enough effort, maybe a little bit more, 30 degrees, then if you have that foot pointing out all the time, and this foot pointing this way, they never come together, especially with Zenko Tadachi, and this is a classic way of describing it, but also other stances. You want to have the ability that you can make shime with your inner thigh muscles. That's bring them together. And if that foot and knee is pointing that way, it will inhibit the ability to squeeze together. So you want to dial in your stance. If that foot is pointing that way, that foot should point similarly, so that you can lock off your stance. If you don't, you forever try to create connection and tension in this leading hip and this shime, this idea of closing your stance, and you never really achieve it. So for now, and there might be some junior grades training. I recommend this for like Shodan above. For now, I want you to give yourself permission to turn that front foot in if you need to. So you have the idea that your feet are parallel, which will allow you to create far more tension in this Shomen dachi. Now, it doesn't mean you have to punch over there. You can still punch straight. But have that dialed in stance. Not one straight and one out. Okay, so let's try Giranbarai Gakuzuki, yeah? Depending on your stance, dial it in every single time. Okay, try in, ni, san, shi, go, duk, chich, hach, kyu, jo, da. Okay guys, just 1 minute, 1 minute. Just try working with your stance. See where you land. If your foot is out, allow that to come in. If your foot's forward, great. But give it a go in Zenko Dachi. Try. I'll check the comments. Okay, yummy. So, what I would say about this is that from beginner to shodan level, then, like generally speaking, with the exception of maybe some kata and maybe some kumite drills, by the time you get to 6th kyu, you've probably learned all the kihon and most of the concepts of kumite, okay, more kind of advanced kumite and juipon, but generally speaking, you've learned everything you need to know to get to shodan. But the difference between the 6th kyu and a shodan, of course, is vastly different. And what that difference is obviously physical ability. And so going through your colour grades, of course, you're learning technique. But what you're actually trying to do through that learning of technique is to develop physical strength, flexibility, fitness, elasticity. You're trying to fulfill your unique potential in order to become a black belt of karate. And that's why one shodan will look very different from another shodan. A young 16-year-old kid who's been training since he was 5 years old, coming to take shodan, he's all firing on all cylinders. His karate is going to be vastly different from maybe a 65-year-old lady or gentleman who started later in life, who wanted to learn something new for their health, for their fitness, etc. Two different people are doing karate, radically different level, but both achieve shodan. Then, because each one is going through their own physical journey and achieving their physical potential. So from beginner to shodan, that's what you're trying to do. Your instructor says back foot forward in Zenkstach. You try to get your back foot forward as much as possible because you're trying to increase your fitness, flexibility, and strength in your legs. Okay, after shodan, you've reached your potential. The last thing you want to do is forever have that foot straight and have that foot sticking out and never be able to follow the principle of Zenkstach, which is this shime, this locking in. And so if that means that you have your foot slightly in, and as you're to compensate for your back foot, so be it. Because you're not following the shape of Zenkstach, you're following the principle of Zenkstach. And there's a classic example of Yohara Sensei. Yohara Sensei had very inflexible ankles, I presume still does. And when he was in the finals of the All Japan Championships, he did Unsu in the finals, and there's a great photograph of him. And he's just turned around, he's done Agyuke, and boom, he's done that Gakuzuki Kyain. And his front foot is like 45 degrees that way to compensate for his back foot. It's beautiful, it's great karate, but is it the classic Shotokan stance? Absolutely not. Is it his Shotokan stance? Absolutely is. So after shodan, give yourself the permission to follow your body through the principles of karate, not just some generic shape. I hope you understand. Okay, next one. So, number 1 was breathing. Number 2, protagonist, antagonist. Number 3, hip and hand timing. Number 4, dialing your stance. Okay, number 5, let's talk about snap and thrust. Okay, so, if I ask you what the difference between a snap and a thrust technique is, I guess most of you will say, well, a snap, you kind of go there and back rapidly, and a thrust, you push out. I want you to think about it in a slightly different way. Okay, a snap, like we can use snap in a different ways, but biomechanically, a snap is when the joint leads and at some point the joint stops and the weapon comes out. So for example, Yurakan is undeniably a snapping technique. Whether we kind of bring it round in this thrusting manner or we bring it back in this snapping manner, the elbow goes out, it stops, and this comes out. A thrust is when the joint drives the weapon forward. And so, for example, punching is a classical thrusting technique. In fact, tsukimasu means to thrust. It doesn't mean to punch, it means to thrust. And so, for sure, we can snap that punch, or we can thrust that punch. We can snap that punch in terms of bringing it back quickly, but that doesn't mean it's not a thrust. Or elbow is pushing that weapon forward. Just like if I use Ross to demonstrate. Just like if, let me see if we go there. If, like, undeniably, Maigeri, of course, is a snapping technique. My knee goes first, boom, my leg goes out. Of course, I can thrust. I can bring my foot up high and allow my knee to thrust in to produce Maigeri Kokomi. Same with Kiyagi. I'm allowing my knee to go first and snapping in. Kokomi, of course, I'm going to stop in a basic way. But in reality, I'd bring my foot straight down. Even if I did Kokomi, When my knee is pushing my foot, then boom, I'm going to bring it down straight away. There is no way I'd hold it out. So just because it's a thrusting technique, it doesn't mean you hold it out. So I think it's super important for to understand how we are sometimes snapping a technique by elbow, then hand, and then thrusting a technique by elbow pushing the hand. There are two different biomechanical processes. We don't want to always be stiff, nor do we always want to be whipping. So let's try. With that in mind, I want you to feel like you're whipping, snapping your Girambarai and thrusting your Gakuzuki. So from here, we are snap, punch, this thing. This, snap, snap, punch, and back. Okay, let's try it 10 times by count. Okay, yeah. And in. Sound. Chi. Go. Look. Shich. Hutch. Go. Jo. Da. Ayame. Good. So far we have done 5. I'm going to check the comments, but breathing, antagonist, protagonist, hip, hand, leg connection, dialing in your stance, and the difference between a snap and a thrust. Okay, I want you to do 10 times, or like 1 minute. Try those 5 principles whilst I check the comments. Off you go. Okay, Yame. Good. Spike Tate said, I get the feet being parallel to enable shime, but does this not potentially create a problem when stepping forward due to the front foot having to move slightly to the side prior to the step? Good point, Spike. What I would say is that, for example, we do a lot, let me again adjust my camera for the viewership. We do a lot of movement, for example, in kibarachi, where that foot is 90 degrees to the direction you want to step. And we are very capable of engaging that shime, as you talk about, and then driving through. In kibarachi. We do this in kata, we do this in kihon, and that is the extreme version of this, where your foot is pointing 90 degrees to the direction of travel. I would say a couple of things. This stance that we're making and that we keep is just a shape, is the very last end product, and really karate is not nouns, it's not this shape and then this shape. Karate is verb, so we're moving into this verb of blocking to the down and then driving to the reverse. These are nouns, these are doing things, so it's never set. And so this dialing in of your stance is sometimes important to give yourself that foundation in order to produce that verb. But if you do then consistently have this sense of your front foot coming to the side, then as you drive forward, then this connection here will naturally release, just like if you naturally step forward, releasing for Girambarai. So with practice that will happen, and I wouldn't kind of worry about how, like as instructors, we say to students, don't do this in order to facilitate your movement forward. That's very different from going through your center and pivoting on the ball of your foot. One is heel pivot, and you just open to facilitate movement. The other one is driving from your back leg, driving from your hip, and going on the ball of your foot to drive into stance. That happens all the time. Okay, but good point. Thank you for asking. Okay, so how are we doing? We have 15 minutes left. Let's see what we can do. Okay, next point. We have breathing, antagonist muscles, hip-hand connection, dialing in your stance, thrusting and snapping. Let's think about arguably one of the most important training mechanisms of Shotokan Karate, which is your center line, your Seichusen. Seichusen, Sei means formal, like Cesar just is like the formal way of sitting. Chu as in chu down means middle, chu down, and sen just means line. So your formal middle line is this ability to not lean forward, lean to the side, to stick your bum out, to maintain this seichu sen right the way through. We're going to do a quick drill that will really help you focus on this. So what we're doing is this. I'm going to go across the dojo so you can see clearly. We're going to do oizuki just to break from what we're doing. And all I want you to do is drive your hips a lot forward. I don't want you to come up. I want you to kind of go forward, and so your knees are driven forward. You have that shime, that closure of your stance, which means that you're kind of maintaining stability, and you're on the ball of your feet. Now, this is kind of hyper vulnerable. This is a kind of vulnerable stance, but I want you to try to maintain it. As you do, we're going to step forward, oizuki. So just driving, just driving. Yeah, you can turn, maintaining both heels off the ground, and just basic oizuki, oizuki, oizuki. Don't put your heels down, give it a go, just oizuki. Okay, try 1 minute, off you go. Okay, good. How are we doing? Understand? Like, what I don't want you to think is that I want you to do oizuki with your heels off the ground. Kihon is kihon. Kihon is like a whole host of things. This is just a very specific training drill to see how vulnerable your seichu sen is. It's to kind of hyper-focus yourself on maintaining that center line at all times. So many people, for example, will break their line as they start. I'll show you from this position. They'll break the center, and they will only kind of engage the center and engage that center line at the end of the technique. And then they'll break it again and then engage it. So they have a back straight on the last 5-10% of the technique. But actually, the last 5-10% of the technique is arguably the least important part of the technique. For example, if I was going to punch Ross, which I know why 131 people have tuned in. So watch me punch Ross. You got the pad? Oh yeah, good. Okay. So, like if I was going to punch him, then I don't want to punch him here. If I think about my arm, like if you imagine you're going to carry something heavy. Okay, this is a 20 kilo weight, a 10 kilo weight vest. Okay, 22 pound weight vest. Then if I want to hold it, I'm going to hold it there. I'm not going to hold it there. I'm certainly not going to hold it here. As my muscles lengthen in that middle phase, that is where they're the strongest. So I was going to hold something heavy for a long time, I'd hold it like that. Okay, that position there, or that middle third, not here, but from about here to about there, that's where my muscles are the strongest. But then past then is when it rapidly decreases in power. So for sure, if I was going to punch Ross, then it'd be about there. That if I stop, naturally I'd kind of snap back or something. But if I was going to stop, it's that point right there. That point, right? Now, if you're only engaging your center at the end of the technique, then when you actually use your karate in reality, for example, if Ross is going to punch Gakuzuki, then I'm not going to block him here. Like if I'm going to block him, then it'd be there, that slightly between 1/3 and 2/3, not towards the end. Now if I'm blocking him like this with my bum out, and then punching him like this with my bum out, I'm never able to transfer my body mass into my technique. So this is super important. Okay, understand? So the idea of this kind of driving your knees forward, shimmy, this is a little bit precarious, doesn't give you much kind of wiggle room, and so you have to be super vigilant and keep that engaged right the way through the movement. Okay? I hope you understand. Okay, so, let's see. We have breathing, antagonist, protagonist muscles, the hip-hand timing, leg timing, dialing in your stance, the snap versus the thrust, the maintaining of your center line. Okay, I want you to try 1 minute, 6 principles that you're thinking about, all 6 at the same time. Go for it, guys. I will check the comments. Okay, yummy, good. Okay, how are we doing so far? Everybody okay? I hope so. If you want, you can give me a thumb up to let me know that you are feeling good. We got 10 more minutes, so we'll maybe fit a couple more principles in. The penultimate principle. Then we try to use our karate, our body, should I say, in a kind of twitch-like action. And then, you know, I have a daughter, she's 12 years old, but like I remember when she was young, like 2, 3, whatever years it was, and she learned how to snap her fingers. Okay, now she took a while. She took like a couple of weeks or whatever it was of like seeing me or my wife doing it, and then her trying to copy. And then eventually she got it. And what that process wasn't about trying to develop the muscles in order to do that. She was trying to develop the neurological pathways to fire the muscles in a rapid twitch-like manner. And I often think that this is the same as karate. Like, I'll give you another example. Sprinters, like often when people are doing the 100-meter sprint, the race is won or lost at the beginning of the race. If someone has a good start, they'll leave the blocks quickly. And if they have a bad start, race is over. They'll never catch up. And so an average sprinter, they will practice the blocks, leaving the blocks, the start of the race, a lot. And say within a 2-hour session, they will practice leaving the blocks, actually leave the blocks just 4 times. And in the 30 minutes leading up to them leaving the block, they will mentally go through the process of twitching every chain of muscles that they need to in order to produce a smooth, relaxed, fluid start. And so they'll visualize it, they'll work with it, they'll kind of think about the muscle groups, they'll connect with it and try to isolate the body parts in order to produce that technique. And then boom, they'll do it. And the coach will watch them, or they'll video it and they'll look at it and they go, this was too early, or that was too late, or I can tweak it here a little bit. And they'll go through again the same process. And they'll do that 4 times within a 2-hour period. That's it. That's their training for leaving the blocks. And I often think that karate is the same, yeah? Like if we're practicing karate, like for example, you know, I'm going to punch Gakuzuki, then for sure I want to be able to engage my leg rapidly. I want to be able to engage my core rapidly. I want to be able to engage my solar plexus and my abdomen rapidly. I want to be able to engage my pecs rapidly. I want to be able to engage my shoulder, my arm rapidly. And I put all those together in order to produce the Gakuzuki. I don't just try to punch, but I try to isolate every element of my body in order to produce a fluid, smooth technique. Just like a sprinter does, just like my daughter did when she learned to click her fingers. And this is, I think, one of the most important elements of karate, is developing twitch motion. A twitch is an explosive motion. And explosive motion is the bedrock of all good karate, but arguably all good martial arts. So, just try a couple of times by yourself. Try to isolate. Isolate that pec, boom, in order to get that preparation. The twitch, in order to get the execution. That drive, that twist, that pec, boom, in order to get that Gakuzuki, yeah? So isolate those parts and try to coordinate them together to produce this explosive Gidanbarai Gakuzuki. Try, guys, give it a go. Okay, yummy, good. Okay, ideas that you can play with. Okay, last technique, last principle. So, I think classically, Shotokan Karate, one of the fundamental principles is that we go from the big technique and we shave a bit off, we shave a bit off, we shave a bit off, shave a bit off, until it just becomes the nuance. And it becomes almost invisible, it becomes internal. So let's just briefly try this. Let's go from Shizentai. Okay, we're going to block, we're going to maintain Shizentai now. We're going to block Girambarai. So from here, we can prepare and block Girambarai, then rotate. Okay, let's try. Then from here, we're going to massive rotate, preparation, execution, drive. So having that massive feeling, this massive rotate, rotate, rotate. Preparation, execution, execution. This 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, try. Try to maintain the stability in your stance. So your knees aren't wobbling, they're not coming in. Try to get that massive rotation. A couple of times in your own time. Go. Okay, yummy, perfect. I can see everybody on Facebook Live and you are perfect. Well done. Okay, next. We're going to shave a bit off, So, do we need to have that massive preparation, massive execution before we do this? No. We're just going to kind of vibrate our hips. So from this Gakuzuki, I'm going to whip this hand. Feel elbow, hip, hand, whip, and then drive. Then from here, whip, punch, drive. So we're only using one hand. One hand to block, one hand to punch. That doesn't mean we're not using our hip. It just that means that we're not making a massive deal about it. We're just kind of shorting it, internalizing it a little bit. Okay, try. In, knee, san, chi, go, look, chich, hatch, come, jaw. Hayame, good. Okay, so last one. We shave a bit off, we shave a bit off, we shave a bit off, until it's just the essence. The principles are the same, but the superficial shape has completely changed. So we're going to do Girambarai, Gakuzuki, no Hikite. Direct, direct. So let's try. Let's go from, again, Shizentai. Okay, make Gakuzuki. Okay, so this Girambarai, direct itch. Maintain this hand. And punch knee. And then block. And punch. So you're blocking direct. Your punching doesn't come to your hip. You're punching direct. And you're still making that connection right the way through. Okay, knee, try. Okay, sam. Chi. Go. Look. Shich. Hatch. Come. Jaw. Hayame. And relax. Often it's the case that this kind of hikite, preparation hand, they're kind of like the luxurious part of karate. It makes it feel nice. But when you're just kind of blocking, like for example, like if he has a pad and a hand out, like I don't have to have this massive wind up. I can just engage. I don't have to kind of wind it up. Remember, it's explosive power. And explosive power is not mass times speed times distance. We don't need distance. Explosive power is like boom. If you were next to a bomb, it'd be far more dangerous than if you were 10 meters away from a bomb, because it's explosive power. The closer you are, the more dangerous it is. So you don't need this big wind up, you just need mass times speed. So I can be very close to Ross, very close to Ross, but I, like almost touching, but I can put that explosive power, boom, put that explosive power, and still create energy. Understand? I hope so. So, last one guys, last one. We are frantically running out of time. So, let me just check one more time for questions. Okay, good. So, last one guys. So, 8 principles. We're going to do last time, Girambarai Gakuzuki 10 times, thinking about 8 principles. How to breathe. Using antagonist, protagonist muscles correctly. Connecting your drive of your leg, your hip rotation, your hand technique at the same time. Okay? Dialing in your stance, not having one foot straight, one foot out. Okay? Knowing the difference between snapping your technique and thrusting your technique. Maintaining center line right the way through the movement, not just at the end. Okay? Using your twitch muscles, isolating your body, being able to use your technique in this twitch-like manner. And last time, if you want to do it small, if you want to just go don don, that's fine. That's exactly the same as this don don. It's exactly the same technique. Okay, let's try. Last 10 times. Okay, yoing. Okay, left leg first. Ich. Ni. Sen. Shi. Go. Duk. Chich. Hatch. Kill. Jump. Yummy. Good. Well done. That is an hour. So, to conclude, you can go and you can say, oh yes, I trained with Scott on karate at home. What did he teach? He did Girambarai Gakuzuki for 1 hour. Girambarai Gakuzuki for 1 hour. That's it. Okay, that's fine. And that's actually fine, because what I really want you to understand is that the techniques that we see in the Kihon Kumite Kata, this is superficial karate. The most important aspect are the principles behind that superficial movement. If you focus on the principles, then your karate is never going to be the same as someone else. If you focus on the superficial, then you're trying to emulate, you're trying to copy your sensei or some Japanese sensei or somebody. Okay, you're trying to copy the superficial. No, karate is about the fundamental principles. So whether you're doing Girambarai Gakuzuki, whether you're doing Unsu, whether you're doing Ju Kumite, the principles are the same. And if you think about it that way, your karate will always improve and always get better. Okay, I want to say thank you to Martin Sensei for inviting me. It's been a great pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed it. Okay, feet together, hands by your side, and ready, horse. Okay, thanks guys. Hope to see you in a proper dojo sometime soon. Horse.